talking with Congressman Mike Conaway from Texas here in Medellin. Congressman, your thoughts on the trip so far? We've seen amazing things, both good and bad, really. What's your overview of the trip?
Well, I think the trip is terrific for those folks who are still struggling to see why, or to understand why the free trade agreement with Colombia and the United States is important. It's important to the United States, but it's of vital importance to Colombia on several different levels. And this trip has given us a chance to see many of those levels that you can't get the information back in the States in quite the depth or the impact that you get it here by seeing what we've seen.
We saw the terrible slums in Cartagena. Here we've seen the tremendous turnaround, which gives, I guess, not only the people here hope, but shows the people in the United States, if we can get this message to them, what trade, what working with an ally here can lead to.
Well, this city and this country were on the brink of becoming a narco-terrorist state. President Uribe and the mayor of Medellin have done amazing work. The abject poverty we saw in Cartagena is a result of displaced persons being shoved out of their homes in the rural areas into a big city without the ability to handle them or take care of them. What we've seen here in Medellin is the 180-degree turn from the violence. These neighborhoods that we're in right now, I am told that 6 years ago would be so dangerous that you couldn't have brought a delegation in here. And today we are walking around with precious little security. The people are happy and friendly, and it's quite the turnaround. And it's evidence that with the right leadership and the right commitment and the right opportunities, this country could be terrific.
Are you concerned that if the free trade agreement is not approved by Congress, it would really send the wrong signal to an ally here and could really harm our relationship with this country?
Well, if you look at our overall relationship with Latin America, it's only going the wrong direction, particularly with Venezuela, Bolivia. And yet we've got a strong ally in Colombia that is trying to do the right things. If you look at the recent history of some of the things that give people pause, they've made dramatic progress on the violence against union leaders and those types of things. And so not passing the trade agreement will be a slap in the face, quite frankly, to the leadership of this country. It will also be used by our adversaries in this region to try to taunt the Colombians that say, well, you've got such a good friend in the United States, they wouldn't even stand with you on a trade deal. So it's there's some emotion in this issue. It's important trade-wise and it's important from jobs, but there is a certain prestige associated with this agreement being passed at this time that the president here needs and that we need to support our allies. So I'm going to go back and I came in support, already supporting the free trade agreement. I intend to go back and try to work with my colleagues and have them understand how vitally important it is for this country and our good ally for this democracy to continue to flourish and provide opportunities to the people that democracies typically do.
Let me switch now to the Farm Bill back home. Last week, Congressman Moran from Kansas introduced legislation to extend the current Farm Bill because of the gridlock in the Senate and the whole process. Do you support an extension, or are you still hopeful that we can get a new bill done this year?
Well, yeah, I'm a co-sponsor of that bill with Jerry Moran. I'm still hopeful, but this is a way to say there's a fallback position if, in fact, we need one. The bad news is the Senate was jammed up pretty well at the end of November. We've got precious few days in December to do a broad spectrum of work. And so a passage for a one-year extension, which means we don't have to wait the whole year to fix the bill. We could do it in February or March if the leadership of the Senate wants to make that happen. So, the amazing things can get done if leadership wants to make it happen in both sides. But it does not look good for a reauthorization of this bill anytime soon.
Are you happy with the version that came out of the House? And do you think how difficult do you think it would be to reconcile differences with the Senate?
Well, I was very happy with the House bill before the taxes were added on later on, that a week and a half or so later. But yes, we can reconcile the differences just on the reauthorization bill itself. To the extent there is new taxes needed, new money needed, or whatever, then that's going to be a very daunting task, which I understand is part of what happened in the Senate, is they couldn't find a way to come up with the money either. And the method that the House used to tax foreign corporations, which involves treaties, was not something the Senate was going to cotton to use a phrase. And so the bill that came out of the House Ag Committee, I'm very supportive of. I think we can reconcile those differences with just the Ag bill out of the Senate, but it's the pay for that's going to be the real issue.
Congressman, thank you very much.
Michael, thank you, bud. Appreciate it.
Congressman Mike Conaway from Texas here in Medellin on the trip to Colombia, South America. This is AgriTalk.